Hello, Fearless Gamers, and welcome to another podcast here on Fearless Games. I'm Matt the Vet, and today I'm joined by...
James the Wildcard.
How's it going?
Not too bad. How's it going?
Alright, just chilling. Not much going on with a little sad because the whole dock strike prevented me from getting the Harlequin Codex.
Yeah, dock strikes will do that.
It's
kind of been an ongoing thing, too.
Yeah, apparently they made a temporary agreement to let stuff come into the U.S.
It's very odd when you think about it.
Yeah.
Like, I get it, workers' rights, strikes, it happens in all forms, but you would think, essentially, importation, exportation is such a crucial part of a global economy thing that you would have, fail-safes.
Yeah. Indeedly do.
I don't know, it's just a bit odd.
It is very odd. But we have some interesting things going on. Lots of rumors going about. The most interesting, in my opinion, is a standalone box set for $30K from GW and a standalone Assassin's game.
Yeah, I mean, it's all interesting and juicy.
Yep.
But
once we see a white dwarf that actually says it's coming.
Yeah, like, basically wait until they post it the Friday, the week or two before on their daily thing on their site, and then you'll be okay.
For those who are not aware, there's a couple of rumors flying about. As usual, the Plastic Sisters are coming with a brand new codex, and they're going to be super awesome and the greatest army you ever see, and they're going to be super cheap. As usual, rumor that we'll throw that in the corner with a cupcake for now.
Well, that'll go with that. Let's store that alongside the Special Character Tech Marine coming out in the next Space Marine Codex.
And the Plastic Thunderhawk.
Yeah, those same rumors that come out like every year.
Yes. And but there's a couple of interesting ones that have been floating around. There's two that I'm like meh about because I want to see what happens because they're just like it's coming type of rumors. So I'm not as interested until I get more meat from that. Is a Plastic Lord of Change with a new Plastic Zinich Demon and new Zinich Chaos Space Marine unit. Everyone's thinking it might be new rubrics. We've got a rumor of a Mechanicum Codex, that's Codex Guitari. And the two most interesting ones that I've seen the most info on is a Horus Heresy standalone game, very much like Dreadfleet. They're going to drop it. It's going to have everything you need inside the box to play a historical game of $40K. And then after the months are done, those models will be just cycled into the Horus Heresy line of items. And same deal with Assassin, a standalone game involving just the Assassins. And after a couple of months run, the game will be ported out of the system, but the models will be cycled into the Assassin's model line.
Of those two ridiculous rumors, I believe the Assassin one more so. Because GW doesn't have a Horus Heresy range. That's all Forge World. And what are they going to do? Cycle these probably snap-fit plastics to Forge World? It wouldn't make any sense.
No, if anything, they'd probably just throw them into the Space Marine Army and go, here you go. But I'm more interested in the Assassin one, primarily because if it's true, I hope we get a new Vindicare Assassin mini, because I don't like the current one.
The current one is very much 90s static. It would be a nice update to all the Assassins. Because it would basically have to mean new models, I would hope. But the one thing that and this isn't a concern because of the whole idea of a standalone game, it's actually a pretty cool idea to make people actually, care about the assassins at all, is compartmentalizing too much. And it was kind of my concern with the Harlequin Codex. Now, it stands to reason to have one, but at the same time, you would be hard-pressed to call the Harlequins an actual standing army. They're a troop. Yeah. They're dude, it would be the equivalent of having, Devastator, the Codex, for, Devastator Marines.
From what I've read online from countries that have gotten the Codex, because they haven't had any import bans, it's literally just 92 pages of fluff and then a couple of pages of formations, because they don't have an HQ. They don't actually have a standing army. They're just a bunch of formations.
Right, which is what you would expect, because they don't have an army. The Harlequins don't have an army. They're people who hang out at a library.
Yes, but because of that, I'm like, and this justifies a codex? I would have expected
that's my point.
It should have been like a White Dwarf release. Here's Formation Harlequin this.
Or
type of thing.
Something like City Fight, but for Harlequins, but where it just gives you data sheets and whatnot.
Yeah, just a bunch of data sheets.
My concern is this, though.
Okay.
This means you're gonna have to take. You don't have to, but most likely, once Eldar get redone, Harlequins are removed from the Codex because they got a Harlequin book. Fine, but you may be saying, well, what about the Imperial Knights? Well, they're big and bad enough to be their own walking armies, and that's why they can work as a standalone, as they have the rules for it. But and Mechanicum should have been what they'd done instead of doing, what is it, Tempestus or something like that?
Yep, Tempestus.
Instead of doing that thing, which was, I get it, quite a cool idea, give us elite guard, essentially. But that would have been a much better thing as Skitarii. And then and putting everything else into the Astra Militarum, your Imperial Guard. My problem is kind of like this. I have the new edition of the Blood Angels Codex and the new edition of the Grey Knights Codex, because I figured, why not? It's fun to read these books.
And you're a consumer whore.
Well, sort of, but not really. I got those because I'm a Space Marine whore. There's a difference. I'm a consumer whore when it comes to Space Marine product, not so much anything else. But
I'm kind of the same way, because I went out and I pre-ordered the dice, the cards, and everything for the Harlequin.
Right. I mean, in my defense, I didn't pre-order them. I went out to a store and bought them after they were released.
Yes, I did really technically pre-order them. I went to Grasshopper and went, hold me some, and they went, okay.
So, but my point is, those are written in the new Codex style, and it's not a style I really like, because it feels just like a collection of data sheets as opposed to a cohesive army.
I agree. It feels like you just bought a White Dwarf, every White Dwarf that they came out in. Right.
I mean, now, don't get me wrong. It's still a Blood Angels army. It's still a cohesive force. But the way the Codex lays out the actual rules for everybody, it feels more like just a collection of data sheets.
Yeah.
That was my concern. Is that all right? What's next? Codex Land Raider, where we have data sheets for multiple Land Raider configurations, and what's next?
Well,
the Adepts of Mars Tech Marine Edition or the Librarium Codex. It's
obviously you don't see how critical those codexes are. They're the codexes we need.
Not the codexes we deserve. Anyway.
We deserve.
but it's just when you it's like almost super micromanaging. It's super compartmentalizing. Once you do that, you're coming back to the original problem they tried to get away from in older editions, which was having too many books to confirm everything. When we had
books, too many rules.
Yeah, we had the because remember back in like 3rd and 4th, it was you got the Space Marine Codex, and then you buy the little Dark Angel or Blood Angel Codex supplement, essentially, but it wasn't. It was just a codex that required the main codex. Oh, and you can run Assassins with your Space Marines, and if you want to play Blood Angels with Assassins, you gotta get Codex Assassins, which was a small little 8-page book of its own. And then if you wanted to play with 13 Black Crusade, somebody needed that book as well. Like, it became too book heavy, and it kind of almost...
And then, when they dropped Assault rules in just White Dwarf, then you need to bring that White Dwarf along in order to do Assault correctly.
Right, so, I mean, and that was the problem that they were trying to get away from with 6th edition and this current edition was, let's make it more it's in the book. Then supplements came out, and it's like, okay, I get it. It makes sense in certain situations. Like, for a supplement to drop and give us things, so we don't need a whole nother codex for those rules, you know?
Yeah.
Fine. But I feel like it's almost going to be a slippery slope as what is justifying a codex. Now, I will give the Harlequin stuff credit. Harlequins have enough following of their own that people were collecting Eldar armies and painted them up all Harlequin-y anyway.
Yeah.
And it actually has a physical book, which makes you wonder, why didn't the Legion of the Damned ever get a physical book? Because it's basically the same thing along the lines as the Harlequin one, in theory, the way it's laid out. So at least you got a physical book for fans of Harlequins. That's great.
Yeah.
But what's next? Like, Codex, Wraithbone, right? And then you have, like, Wraith Guard, Wraith Lords, and, like, weird Wraith units put into their own Codex for Eldar. And now and then the Eldar Codex becomes...
Codex Farseer.
Yeah, and then...
Dude, we need it.
And then the regular Codex becomes Codex Aspect Warrior, and it's like, well, what happened? I need 15 books for my Eldar. It's just like... I'm not saying it's going to happen, but that's...
Yeah,
if Harlequins
that's what I feel like it's going to be turning into.
Right. So that's my only concern with how things are playing out thus far. But I would love to see a Dreadfleet or Space Hulk style thing done for Assassins.
That would be pretty awesome. And even at the short, I would just use the models for just Assassins.
Well, exactly. And the thing is, that really is the only way in which Assassins can be played properly, in my opinion. Because what is really hard to do in a war game that is not skirmish level but army level is represent a really awesome singular dude.
Yeah.
Like, it's an assassin. Like, the Vindicator is great for shooting at stuff, but it's hard to actually get him to be really feeling scary without him feeling completely unfair. Like...
Yeah.
Give him a high ballistic skill and make his weapon mastercrafted so it can, has those rules, fine. But then what are you going to do? Make it so he automatically ignores all cover for everything? And then, what are you going to do for special rounds? And when you read his fluff, like, in the old Assassin's Codex, the story of a Vindicator in there was he infiltrated an orc camp, set up a whole bunch of explosives, killed the warlord, and shot an incendiary bullet into the explosive to blow up a Gargan.
Yeah.
By himself. You can't represent that in a 40k game.
No, not really.
And the only one that kind of can do okay is the Eversword, but he just dies too quickly because his fluff demands it. And not because his fluff demands it, but because how hard is it to be a one-man army when you got to run across the board and actually get into close combat? Pretty difficult.
Yeah,
but,
like a solitaire.
Yeah. But he's a one-man wrecking crew, and he's one of my favorite assassins because of that, because he's the least assassin-y. We picture assassins like the Vindicator, or even the Colossus and the Calidus, the stealthy approach and everything.
Super ninjas.
And then you got the Eversword, it's like, and just runs at him. Like, he's all about, I'm really mad. And then he just flips out and goes crazy and kills everything, friend or foe, in his fluff. And...
Yep.
That's one of the things I really liked about the Horus Heresy book, Nemesis, when they got all the assassins together. Is that
that was to kill Horus, right?
Yeah, the attempt to kill Horus. When the Vindicator, who was basically the leader of the group, had to go get the Eversword was thawed too early. He woke up and going crazy, and he had to subdue him, and it was really hard because he was wrecking face. Like, it was just really funny because you got to see the Eversword as what they are, and people forget their fluff of how they're always in stasis unless they're needed because they're hopped up in Mountain Dew trying to kill everything, basically.
Pretty much.
But that is hard to represent. And then Calidus Assassin's probably the hardest. A shape-shifting assassin thingy. That's you can represent it kind of having it sneakily be deployed within an enemy squad and lock in and do stuff that way. But it's tough.
Give him the changeling ability where he takes on the stats of his enemy.
Yeah, but it's tough without it feeling weird and cheap and lame. So that's tough. The Colexis probably has it a bit easier because you can just give him anti-psychic. But then and by design, it's such a specialized assassin that nobody uses them because it's only good against Eldar and Chaos
demons and Grey Knights.
Yeah, and it's really only good against particular armies. Ones you really not, and even against Eldar, The Farseer. Ooh, one unit is the whole reason the classic assassin exists in your army at that point. You know, it would have a field day against Grey Knights.
Yeah.
But even still, the Grey Knights go, okay, unload all of our storm bolters into it. Oh, it's dead because it's one dude. So an assassin not board game style, but essentially board game style, like a little like standalone game
style. So,
would really be the way to do them and make them feel proper. And what would be cool, in my opinion, is you can probably have all the assassin types. Maybe they introduce another one, which maybe not. You give them all their models, and maybe you have some grunt models that are included. So if it's a standalone game like Space Hulk, for example, it had everything you need to play against them. Yeah. So you can put it in a situation against cultists, against orcs and cultists, because Chaos tricked them to fight against the Imperials, and you're the assassins trying to save a city or something. Yeah. You have the ways to which to go about it, and it would be really cool.
Another also cool thing with the assassin, which is also something I like, is it's easy to throw in little tiny expansions. Like let's just say in the assassin box, it's you have to assassinate a governor. So it's just you fighting a bunch of rogue guard. You could then do, like you suggest, like the orc expansion gives you all the little orc dudes to play a new mission where you have to assassinate an orc war boss type of thing.
Yeah, and
it could be easily just to tack on these small things that don't feel like necessity, but you're like, I need these because it sounds awesome.
Yeah, and it also inflates their sales because, okay, it's an orc expansion with orc models, so orc players will buy it.
Yep.
You know, they may never want to play assassin, but that's a really cool looking warlord. I
war
want
boss.
Yeah. I want that. I want these weird Gretchen because they're funny and looking, stuff like that.
Even with like the Eldar cool new looking Farsphere model that doesn't look like they're just going, stop, that's my Mountain Dew.
Basically. And again, it's like I said, really in my opinion, the best way to represent an assassin, because going back to the Vindicare, another part of their fluff is that they sit and wait for months on end, potentially. So it doesn't make sense where all of a sudden they're thrown into a turn-based game where every turn they're firing. You read some of the older short stories that include a Vindicare, they're watching Imperial armies get decimated and not jumping in because they're waiting for the one perfect shot.
Yep.
So how are you going to represent that in a battle? I'm going to take a Vindicare and never use them the entire game.
You give them the Death Strike rules.
Yeah, but then you
on a 4+ he acts.
Right, and then so I'm going to take a Vindicare. I'm going to put them in all this really hard to get you cover and everything, and I'm going to use them on the last turn of the game. Yay! But it's
woo! Best 300 points ever,
right? Or however many points he is. It's just, and then, it just doesn't make too much sense to me. I've always liked the assassins because I thought they were pretty cool. The idea of having these dedicated temples doing a specific thing, but it's hard to represent them in an army game because even an Eversor who's really close combat heavy, if you throw a max-size Imperial Guardsman squad against him, he's probably going to fall. And in the fluff, he wouldn't. But in the game, he will.
Like, I remember the Stark Lord used to have one, and he's like, oh, this guy's going to wreck your face, he's going to wreck your face, and he died in the first combat he got into. I was like, I thought he was supposed to wreck my face.
I mean, and it's not just the Eversor. I've seen a Bloodthirster. Back in the heyday when a Bloodthirster was really, really strong, not like stronger than he is now in the Chaos Demons Codex. Yeah. Back in the heyday when they were part of the Chaos Terminator thing.
Yeah, when they were just ridiculous.
When they were really ridiculous. I saw a Bloodthirster get down by a Guardsman squad because he was locked into close combat with so many things, and he was ripping through for turns, but a Guardsman poked him with a las gun and killed him.
Yep, chip damage, man.
Yeah.
It will kill you in the end.
It will. And it's really not a very glorious end for such a big, bad beast. And it doesn't make much sense because in the fluff, he would just look at them and they would pop into blood balloons.
Yeah.
So
it's like that Hive Tyrant that we saw get killed by that little baby thing that one army could get.
Yes, it was I believe it was either a Hive Tyrant or something like that. Lost to back when Space Marines had familiars that could actually fight. Yeah. It was a familiar killed it.
Yep. And it was this little baby thing.
Yeah, it was hysterical. But it's really it's also the Terminator syndrome with me when I lost an entire squad to just last gunshots, and it wasn't overwhelmingly high. It was 5 shots, 5 ones I rolled because I'm that bad at rolling. But in real fluff, I would never have to roll for that. It would just bounce off without hurting them. But you can't do
just
that.
Go, ow.
You can't do that because it wouldn't be fair. So,
yes.
So again, that's why I think an assassin game would be way better than a Horus Heresy thing. Because the Horus Heresy thing, while cool, you're also now stepping on the toes of your sister, of your own company. So we'll see what happens with that. But
we'll see. The latest rumor is we'll see it in next week's White Dwarf as a coming soon for both of them. So we'll see how that plays out.
We will.
We will see Snake.
Speaking of playing out, recently I've been playing just as a casual thing Arkham City again.
Getting ready for Arkham Knight?
No, because I don't own Arkham Origins.
You don't really need to own Arkham Origins because it's a prequel.
But I've watched gameplay of that. It's actually really cool.
It's a fun game. But the only thing that I just dislike about it is just that it's another, without doing spoilers, I wasn't a fan of who he ended up having to fight. Yeah,
but at the same time, being that it's meant to set up the first game.
Yeah. It's just it's just a little nitpicky. Don't get me wrong, I love the game. I thought the game was awesome.
Yeah.
I was just a little I was hoping for I was excited for the villain that they were building up.
Yeah, and to be honest, the thing I like about Origin, because I see an entire playthrough of it because I don't own it, and that's what kind of got me into wanting to just go through Arkham City again, just normally, is that the biggest problem with Asylum was the end boss. You're going through this really awesome feeling. You got to knock down 20 inmates at once and do everything. And the end boss, you don't really fight him. You fight against the swarm, and then you get to do a quick time event.
Yep.
And that's what it really was kind of. I really enjoyed Arkham Asylum. Arkham Asylum, Arkham City were the only games that when I finished playing, not the only games, but one of very few games. Once I finished playing through it, I immediately went and started to play it again. Because of how, I remember when I was in a Best Buy when Arkham Asylum was first coming out, and they had a demo to try out on one of those consoles that they have in there. I remember trying it, going, "Wow, I'm really bad at these type of games, but the free flow combat makes me seem like I'm amazing." So you got to give props to the game for that. But I was playing through Arkham City again. And, I'm doing it casually. I've already beaten... I know the story, but I'm now doing it more so. I'm going to try and get some of the side quests done, because I really did do that. But, and it reminded me of how, the soundtrack... the character stuff is great. The soundtrack is really good and appropriate for certain areas. And then it got me thinking about soundtracks in games, and I really miss the 90s. When, games couldn't rely on being super flashy and movie-like and really needed a soundtrack to help you out.
Yeah.
How many... I know so many people for so long with the, some type of notification tone of the victory theme for Final Fantasy.
Yep.
And for me, because I'm not that big of a Final Fantasy fan, it's Chrono Trigger, which I play through here and there as well. I can't tell you how many people, when they hear Frog's theme, they get happy because it's such a cool theme. And I'm not saying games don't have that nowadays, but
not as much.
Not as much. Back then, you could just listen to game music and just talk about it. Don't get me wrong, Hyperion's Overture from StarCraft 2 is great, and that's a more recent game. I really like that. But I'm not gonna go listen to Batman Arkham City's soundtrack because it's it sounds like bleak, string instruments and piano because we're in the sewer area. It's missing out because it doesn't have the game to go with it. But when you hear themes from Final Fantasy or Chrono Trigger or Chrono Cross, I can just listen to those.
Or Zelda.
Or Zelda. Or even
Zelda music.
Even Mario.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think games are progressing great, and there's plenty of games that do the soundtrack justice. But, using Mario as the example, how many... all of the games have that Mario 1 first level theme in it somewhere.
Yep.
And, we don't praise it and go, yeah, every time because it's Mario, we expect it. But yet at the same time, it's so iconic that if it just lost that,
you would be very upset if it wasn't there.
Yeah, if it lost that and lost a jingle similar to it, because I don't know if it was in Super Mario 64, but
I don't believe
it had the
was.
feeling. But it still had that Super Mario feel to it of music going on. If it almost picture a Super Mario game, 3D or 2D 3D-esque, with Arkham Asylum music to it, it would be terrible.
Mm.
It'd be like, what have you done to Mario? Why is he so depressed? Why is he so depressed? So I'm just.
What's the point?
Where are the drugs?
Where were the other drugs going? Do I look like a cop?
Swear to me.
I swear to Koopa, swear to me!
Somebody has to do this now.
We gave you the tools, fearless gamers. Go out into the world.
I swear to Koopa, swear to me. The fall won't kill me. I'm counting on it.
You either live long enough to be the hero, you either live long enough to become the villain or die the hero.
Yeah, right. He's not the hero we need, but the hero we
He's not the plumber we need. He's not the plumber we need, but the plumber we become.
Oh, man.
Oh, this whole podcast just broke down.
Oh, God. It did, especially because we have Luigi, who could be the Robin.
Yeah. Oh, God.
And we could even do it in the terrible way they did Robin in Dark Knight Rises, because I thought that was really dumb.
So this is your, so I see this isn't your real name. No, it is not. Very well. Luigi.
That was just kind of lame because we kind of got it. And the really thing I hated is I could tell by your actions you were an orphan just like us. You were. I knew exactly who you were based on how you acted without ever seeing you beat both people. It's like, wait, the way that Robin basically was like, I know who you are, Batman type of deal was really. I was like, how did that work?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think what they did with Bane was great. If they gave him a different name, it would be even better. But the moment you find out he's just a henchman, he loses all that. He loses that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like if you found out that the Joker was working for somebody else, the Joker would kind of lose that pizzazz of being the Joker in the second movie. So I think the Bane character wasn't. It's not like I hate him. Is he Bane? In my opinion, not so much, based on what was missing. But I think playing through the Arkham's 2 games, not the series because I haven't played through all of them. If they just compress it down to the asylum and not have quite the weird thing of city going on, that would make a really good movie.
That is true.
With a proper Bane, dang it.
Because,
the one thing
he was in one of the games, wasn't he?
He was in, all of them, basically.
The one thing I couldn't stand about the Arkham games was everyone was ripped apart like paper.
Yeah.
Every time you were fighting a villain, you go, I break you like paper! When I get out of here, Batman, I'm gonna tear you apart like paper! And I'm like, why does everyone like ripping apart paper? Paper is useful.
It's all the paperwork that the psychiatrists and psychologists are doing. That's why they have this hatred towards it.
I would be fine if that was their excuse.
Right? But here's my biggest problem, not so much with that game, but because it's not the game's fault, is...
what really grinds your gears?
Yes. No, is you never really get a sense for some of the supervillains' nature. You know what I mean? We get the Joker, and I'll be wrong, I'm a big Joker fan, but after a while, not that he gets old, it's just that there's only so many ways you can do absolute insanity.
Yeah.
and without it feeling like it's encroaching on the Riddler or the Scarecrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And with Bane, you never really get a feeling of just how smart Bane actually is.
Yeah, no, you don't really, because he is a smart dude.
He's really smart, very intelligent, capable, really good strategist. And that's the weirdest thing. He's a really good strategist and really smart. And how you defeat him, you make him run into walls.
Yep.
It's like, what? but and I get it, when he's going super crazy on his Venom and whatnot. But it's just, you don't get a sense for certain characters. And there's not a real way to do that in a game. I get it. Defeat Bane's puzzle because he's so smart. It would be really dumb. We have the Riddler for that. But the other thing that was really kind of not a problem with the game, but I'm grasping at straws here because it did a solid thing. Was some of your takedowns as Batman? Because I'm like, hey, there's no way he can just break somebody's leg by doing an Indian burn type of maneuver on the guy's leg. Like, that's ridiculous strength right there. If he's able to just, take the hands and counter motion break your leg. Secondly, you look at some of his takedowns, yeah, that guy's crippled for life. I know you don't kill,
that guy's
but
dead.
You say you never kill, but honestly, some of these people would be better off dead with the horrible injuries you just gave them. You are a monster, Batman. What's wrong with you?
Batman is a monster. He is the true villain.
That is some of the theories in there. He's the true villain, and the theory of how Batman creates it's everybody knows those theories, but it's just you look at some of the takedowns he does, and you kind of you just glide kicked him from a city block away. He's dead. I don't care what you say.
He is not getting back up.
No, and it's just wow, just wow. You killed him, even though it says unconscious. I'm up to your games, Batman. You may say unconscious, but he's dead. But I don't know. Again, that's nitpicking because you have to make takedowns cool. But you see some of the ones, and you're like, did you need to really snap his shoulder and his arm?
Yeah,
I think the arm would have done it just fine.
Pretty much. He does horribly maim those criminals.
He does. But I don't know. I just think that the way Arkham series does villains, I think would be a good way if the movies ever wanted to take that type of adaptation, because it's not super comic booky and cartoony, but it's not so rough and gritty and true to life that you can't have the Venom and Poison Ivy and things like that. You're not playing the game and going, Poison Ivy having crazy mutated plans to do these horrible things to people. I'm not buying this anymore, game. It's it does in a way you go, huh, that makes sense. All right.
Yep.
And it works. And, I'm sorry. I don't care what anybody says. Batman has superpowers. Because when you have genius-level intellect, you're an inventor, you're trained to human peak perfection in a variety of mastery of martial arts, and you're a billionaire playboy, and you have all this other stuff, there's not enough years in a life to do all these things. He's basically max leveled every type of profession path you could say somebody would go down. And there's no way it's not I'm not saying there's any real hero you could really strive to be like, because Flash runs too damn fast. Spider-Man, if you get bit by a horribly radioactive spider, you're probably just going to die. So I get it, but at the same time, there's certain things you can strive to. You can strive to be a bit like Spider-Man. You can strive to be a bit like Captain America. You can even strive. You can even strive to be a bit like the Flash, or even a Green Lantern with willpower and stuff like that, and dedicate and all the good stuff.
Morals.
Right. But there's no way to really strive to be kind of like Batman. Because, A, you shouldn't strive to be an orphan, number one. That's terrible. That's terrible to say. B, if you have your parents, you shouldn't strive to go, I want them to get murdered outside of a theater so I can be an orphan just like Batman. That's terrible. You're probably not going to be able to become a billionaire. You're not going to master 15 million different forms of martial arts.
Yeah, no.
You're not going to be a genius level intellect / inventor just because you really try hard to be. I mean, inventing in itself is pretty difficult in this day and age.
Yeah.
It's like, even just to maybe strive towards the money end of Batman is a lifetime of work in and of itself, unless you were born into it, which he was.
Yeah.
So that one I'll give him. He was born into it. But
yeah.
the rest of it still, to master martial arts, there are people who spend their entire life in one path of martial arts to master it.
Yep.
And it's just like, if people, every time I hear, oh, Batman doesn't have a superpower, I'm like, how about being perfect? That seems like a pretty good superpower, because nobody's perfect.
Everyone is perfect.
Right? But
you have to say everything with a Batman voice.
Yeah. And as we talked about before, prep time is no excuse.
Yep. That is bull crap.
Yes. But I mean, when you think about it, he's just as unattainable as the alien Superman. And at least he has the excuse, I'm an alien.
Yeah. He's an alien. Oh my god, he's an alien.
Yeah, deal with it type of deal. But
is Batman an alien? Probably. Now where's his brother?
Right. And going down the slippery slope we're going down. You know what I can't decide? I can't decide if I want to see the Secret Service movie thing with Sam Jackson.
That assassin movie thingy.
Kind of like the service,
the service,
whatever it is. I can't tell if I want to go see that or not.
I'm like meh.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I kind of feel, but at the same time, like, it's got Sam Jackson.
Yeah.
So that's a plus right there. And I kind of dig what they're going for a little bit based on the previews, but I don't know if I want, how I feel about it in terms of going to see it. And it's weird because I don't usually get like, oh, I don't know. Usually it's like, nah, like 50 Shades of Grey, nah.
Well, let's just say that right there and then. It's a much better option than 50 Shades of Grey.
Stubbing my toe repeatedly for 2 hours straight is a better option than 50 Shades of Grey.
Yep. Yep.
I just wonder what it was like to be one of the lead roles in that movie. You mean you want me to eat what? I have a no.
You mean I'm doing a softcore porn without calling it softcore porn.
Right.
Yes. Is that possible? It's artsy. Okay. Then when you see to all your friends, so this is just a softcore porn that got into theaters. No, it's artsy.
Oh. I see. But like it's got to be a bit odd. You know what else has got to be odd? Being like a supportive role. In that, where like you have like the only normal role in the movie, and you're like, yeah, it was, yeah. What else is probably worse is just doing the reading. So
yeah.
You want me to say, all right? I guess I'll say it. It's got to be a bit odd.
I was watching a video, and I'm fairly sure that they swear to high heaven that what they're using is actual dialogue from the fanfic Master of the Universe, which is what this was all based off of. It's the original book was called Master of the Universe, and in one of the lines is Bella goes, "This is the butt drawer," and Colin goes, "What, you don't like the butt drawer?" And Bella goes, "It's not exactly number one on my Christmas list." And it was just a drawer full of toys for the butt.
Right.
And they called it the butt drawer.
From what I've been told, because I refuse to even delve into checking out the book at all, and from all of the people doing parodies about 50 Shades of Grey, is the vocabulary is like grade school level.
It's bad. We read it once at work just because we wanted to see what everyone was going nuts over.
Right. And I heard like the vocabulary is bad, not in a vulgar sense, in a my God, I have a better vocabulary than this writer sense. And like I don't have a vocabulary. And people are like, so a whole bunch of women are getting all bothered by this book and really digging this, and it's really degrading to women.
Yes, and it's also about abusive relationships.
Right, and it's funny because some of the people who I know have read this book just from people who I know from where I used to work or whatnot. You know, I wouldn't say they're extreme feminists or anything like that, but they're not. They're wanting to be like, you know, women. You know, they're not like they're obviously going to be pro women's rights and everything, but they love that book. I'm like, you realize she's basically just a slave, right?
Yeah, she is basically just a slave that gets beaten and harassed all the time.
And but yet it's like, it's so romantic. I'm like, no. See, this is the problem with romance in novels and movies. It seems romantic like that, but if somebody did that in real life, they'd be labeled a stalker or arrested.
A misogynistic male chauvinist pig.
Yeah, and arrested. Or like put on a restraining order. Like anything that's romantic in a movie or a novel or even sung about in music. Like, I'll be watching you, every step you take, every breath you make. That's a stalker.
Well, that actually, I found out where that song came from. The guy singing it discovered his wife was convinced he was cheating on her, so she hired a private investigator to follow him, and he found out about it.
Right, but it's turned into this, like, oh, it's such a romantic song. And, like, no, if somebody
it's
did
about
to you,
someone
you'd be creeped out.
Oh, that's so romantic. Yes, it's so romantic that his wife thinks she's cheating on him and thus has someone follow him because she doesn't trust him. So romantic.
Right. And it's like, oh, look, he'll do anything for her, and he's always by her side. Yet you would call people clingy. What's wrong with you? It's like...
Well, see, when it's done in an art form, it's romantic and dreamy. When it's done in real life, it's called crummy and crappy. I should know because I do everything to that all the songs that Elena likes to make her like me, and she always goes, "Get the fluke away from me, you're weird."
It hits you with the batarang. I know it's a vicious cycle, but
and a frying pan because she watches a lot of Dragon Ball Z. She does love hitting me with a frying pan.
Frying pan's a good improvised thing to hit somebody with because it's got a lot of
weapon.
A lot of surface.
It's area. A weapon and something to cook eggs with.
Right, and I'm not trying
Bulma
to say...
does it too.
And I'm not trying to say with these like things that are deemed romantic, which aren't, are all like guys to women. It's also the other way around. It's like, no, that's not. That's terrible. It's like, you know, she's overbearing or he's overbearing, and it's just like, it's bad. People should feel bad. 50 Shades of Grey is probably not something you want to watch. Everyone's
talking about how it's about a man who was abused by his mother and has been scarred for life because of the mental anguish that his mom put him through and all this other junk. And I'm like, and we're supposed to feel bad for this guy?
Let me put it this way. 50 Shades of Grey is probably on par as a love story with Twilight.
I would argue that Twilight is a better love story than 50 Shades of Grey, to be honest.
I'm just saying, at best, it's on par with it. You know, 50 Shades of Grey is at best on par with the love story of Twilight. And everything's a better love story than Twilight.
Yes, well, let's be honest. Wilson and Tom Hanks was a better love story.
It was. Batman and Poison Ivy is a better love story.
And she always tries to kill him.
Right. I mean, like, it's funny because these two things, which a lot of people, I'm not just saying it's people outside of the fandom of that genre, even within that fandom of that genre, dislike, are making millions.
Yeah.
Millions. And it's kind of like, it's not, and then you look at it and go, so the formula for success is to be really crummy. I got it. I don't know how we got here from Batman, but we did, all right? Because where are the drugs?
We got here.
Where are the drugs? But you know what's funny?
Where are the drugs going?
I would say DC has a better success on the game side, but Marvel has better success on the movie side.
Yes, especially now since DC is just trying to rip off Marvel.
Well, yeah, in a way. But it's like, no, see, first we're going to do it as a group, and then they're going to go separate.
Because it's going to be genius.
Did you see the picture for their... I forget the name for like one of the heroes for the Justice League.
Flash, Wonder Woman. Batman, Superman, Hawkman, Hawkgirl.
Who else is on the Justice League?
Among pretty much everybody.
Like the core, like most people, like you know.
Green Lantern, Batman, Superman, Hawkman, Aquaman.
Aquaman, that's it.
I have not seen anything
there was
for
a
Aquaman.
Supposedly like I shouldn't say a teaser picture, some type of picture alluding to that would be Aquaman or whatever. And on this, like, what have you done? It looks, he's got a trident, fantastic. But aside from that, what have you done? It looks pretty bad. I'm gonna see if I can find the picture.
It was. I think one of the best ones was if you haven't given it a shot yet, check out the new Justice League movie, Throne of Atlantis. That was actually really good, and it makes Aquaman pretty awesome.
Now,
and I like the story of how he becomes Aquaman. How he gets the name Aquaman is pretty funny. And Nathan Fillion is Green Lantern again. You can't go wrong with that.
You can't. But don't get me wrong, I'm not going to say I am up on what exactly Aquaman is supposed to look like nowadays in like comics and whatnot, because I know what he looked like back in like the 90s and earlier. So
you just get all
the knowledge of what he's supposed to look like this day and age.
I think nowadays he's still. I think he now has orange shirt, green bottom now again. The big question is if he has one or two hands.
Right. That whole thing. That little caveat.
Yep. Where he has a hook for a hand. It's his really good hook. It's his plot hook.
I saw what you did.
Yep. Because see, when he needs a plot for his stories, he just reaches off panel with his hook hand. No one knows what you're saying right now, so I'm just going to say to everybody, he's agreeing with me, because that's what that is.
The picture I saw, that's a seizure. That's a seizure of me not understanding what they did to Aquaman. If the picture that I saw is true, he basically has got like long black hair, kind of 80s rock metal looking a little bit.
Let's see.
But it's not what I remember him looking like, and I kind of get it. You know, you can't, let's be honest, if you saw like 80s and 90s.
Is this the picture?
80s or 90s Aquaman running around in a movie will look kind of weird. I don't know, because internet, not quite. No, it was somebody else. I don't know what the picture I saw. He had long, like a long, top knot black hair.
First photo of Aquaman in the thingy. Oh, I think I see. Let me see. I think I found the picture.
Maybe not.
That you're talking about.
Like I said, I don't know too much about.
Kind of looks like some dude out of like Lord of the Rings or something. This picture.
Yeah, and like I get what they're going for, but at the same time, like it felt like God of War met something like a dwarf from Lord of the Rings.
It's interesting. But he does look like he's from a totally different film and not Aquaman.
Right? It doesn't feel Aquaman. Like, when they did Superman and Man of Steel, and they gave him like a more modern-ass looking outfit, it still obviously was very clear Superman outfit, but it felt very Superman. It wasn't out of context. So I think that's like important if you're gonna redo a hero to make sure it doesn't feel like, well, who's that guy?
That, my lad, is not Aquaman.
It doesn't feel like Aquaman, to be honest with you, to me. But
what do you think about the Hank Pym about the Ant-Man movie?
Without having a trailer,
I haven't seen the trailer yet.
No, I haven't seen the trailer yet.
Oh, they have a trailer out.
I'm gonna put it to you this way. I don't want to say I was skeptical about Guardians of the Galaxy in terms of being a thing. It was just it was more the ability to bring across Rocket and Groot in a way that wouldn't be cheesy and silly. So if they were able to pull off Guardians of the Galaxy very well. So that being said, I think they can really do fine.
It's from what I've been reading in the trailers and all that, it seems that they're taking the plot from how the second Ant-Man became Ant-Man.
Okay.
So it's essentially an origin story, which I've kind of liking the idea where the hero already exists, and we don't have to see them becoming the hero. We're seeing them pass the mantle on to another person.
Yeah, it's a origin story light.
Yeah, because you can only do the whole how these dudes got powers so many times before everyone starts going, oh, this is Iron Man with a different dude. Oh, this is Thor with a different dude.
Well, yeah, and to be fair, though, you do need to establish the groundwork for any character of how they get their powers. And
yeah.
Especially if they get powers. Now, with this one, this is a origin story light. It's got the same great taste, but half the calories. So
yes,
we're getting the origin of him technically, but it's more of a here you go, kid, have fun. And
yeah. Like, we don't have to find out how the shrinking suit became a thing and why he decided to be Ant-Man and all that other junk. That's already been... They're essentially going, that's established. Now let's find out how the dude we know as Ant-Man became Ant-Man.
Which is fine, and I
love that.
I think, for me, I like that because I'm going to say it in the, I'm just going to put it in terms of, I like it because of the whole Terminator situation. When they did time travel, they didn't explain it, and that was the only thing they explained is you only can bring back fleshy bits, no clothes, and it's one way.
Yep.
Beyond that, which really isn't an explanation of how it works at all, didn't matter. It just went.
And they didn't explain it until really halfway through the film.
Yeah, and it was more of kind of like, it wasn't even like, you didn't feel like you were missing out on anything. You're like, oh, okay, dudes came back from the future. I'm down with it. So when you get too bogged down in having to explain everything, now,
then we get exposition the movie.
Right. And Iron Man, granted, Iron Man 1 was an origin story, but we didn't really get into him trying to explain how an arc reactor works.
He just said, it's an arc reactor, I have one in my factory.
Right. And, we didn't go down into it. We saw him create the suit. We understood, hey, it took some time. We didn't see the how the arm mechanism works and how a repulsor blast works. We just heard, hey, it stabilized me in flight, and I didn't expect that the first time. So it was just enough discovery of how things work without sitting down and having a lecture on, okay, the thrust stabilizer is based off this hydraulic circuit. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
I like that because it was a nice blend of arc reactor, because I had one. I made it smaller. Deal with it type of thing. Same thing with like how I think they did Captain America was pretty good. It's a super soldier serum. It's going to hurt a lot, and we have to make sure you got the heart for it. Okay, good. In terms of not like the heart literally, but like the moral core.
Because the serum kills those that are morally wrong.
Well, the last thing you want is just to create a supervillain.
Yes.
But
that would be silly if that happened.
Right. But
name him something like Skull or Blue or something. Some part of the body and a color.
Right. But even with the redo of Spider-Man, which I really was digging.
I like the new Spider-Man.
I really enjoyed
the new film, which was not great. I still enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it a lot because we got to see them stretch their legs a little bit with villains that it wasn't the stereotypical Venom, Doc Ock, Yeah, we had the Goblin, but they did it in a way that was refreshing.
Yeah.
It wasn't it wasn't the stereotypical big three all the time. But even his origin, Spider got dosed with stuff, bit him.
Yep.
It has always been that way. It was like radiation, Spider. You didn't kill you. Good.
Good. Why did it? Who knows?
Good job. But like,
I like how they threw that in there as well. It's like, how did it not kill you when it killed other people?
And the simple, I don't know. But like Marvel, I'm not saying DC movies don't do that. I do feel DC gets bogged down in the past a bit, though.
Yeah.
Like, even in the third movie we had... And flashbacks are fine, but we're going back to the origin of Batman. I'm like, we established that in the first movie. Why must we keep going back to this?
Because not everyone saw the other two films.
But, did they do a good job with the movie? Sure. Was Man of Steel successful? Apparently. I never saw it because I just am not...
I saw enough to realize that it should not be.
I'm just not a Superman guy, so I would be biased against it from the beginning because I really don't like him. But,
you don't like America, then? No,
I like Captain America. And I really liked the Green Lantern movie. It was a pity that it didn't do as well as it should have.
It's a shame that everyone hates it.
And like I said, I think it really was a case of biting off more you can chew when you have a core full of aliens and the only human, really.
And I loved how everyone was complaining because he made an RC track. And I was like, they explained just not 2 minutes ago that it makes whatever you think.
Right, and honestly, I think it comes with the fact that people really don't have a grasp of his power.
Yeah.
And to be honest, Green Lantern's power is kind of out there when you look at the standard stuff. Yeah. You got Superman's strength and vulnerability, yada, yada, yada. You got Batman, who just, I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
And, and then you look at Marvel side, you got Radioactive Spider or mutants or whatever it is. And you got a Green Lantern, and it's really a thing of will and conjuration of stuff. And you're like...
And it's a ring.
And it's a ring. And it just ring plus making things like that happen doesn't correlate well with people who don't understand it. And even me, I'm not a Green Lantern buff by any stretch of the imagination, I enjoyed the movie because I knew enough of what to expect out of a Green Lantern power, even without knowing really too much about the power, aside from it's a ring, it does that stuff. It's a little bit weird, but go with it. And when I was watching the movie, I was thinking, oh boy, this is going to be a hard pill for people to swallow, especially because... And really, I think the problem is that it's DC Universe that's much established, and they went with super realistic Batman to aliens.
Yeah. One person I knew was just pissed because Green Lantern makes a chain gun. I'm like, Green Lantern's made tons of guns in his line.
Right. But I think, and it's not like they were... I guess it's the whole light of DC Universe, therefore, in theory, even if made by separate people, it should link up. Look at Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, I can kind of get that. But, you just had this super realistic Batman, which, quite honestly, would rule out half of his own villains, and the rest of the DC Universe would really be able to exist in that Nolan Batman universe. To flying around in outer space with aliens. And
that they just were missing that crazy dude with the hair going, alien.
He probably would have made it better. He probably would have helped it out.
People would have said, oh, he's in it, I gotta go see it.
Ever notice it's like he's evolving? Every time you see him in a new special, he gets crazier and crazier looking and more red.
Yeah, he's turning into an alien.
I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens. But, I really would have liked to seen a Green Lantern 2 movie. But at the same time...
Especially with that Sinestro, because he was awesome.
He was a really good job. But flipping gears a bit, is the Deadpool movie actually happening?
Yes, and it's actually because someone leaked it that it's happening.
Okay, because I've been hearing things, and Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool, which is the most important part of that movie.
Yep. The story goes as in they made that test footage with Ryan Reynolds, and the studio was sitting on it, going, oh, this isn't going to happen. We don't think this is going to work. We don't think anyone's going to like it. And Ryan said, actually, to be honest, me and some of the crew were tempted to just post the video online because we wanted people to see it, because we wanted to prove to the producers that it could work. And somebody, they don't know who, but they thank them, someone recorded the footage with their iPhone and posted it on the internet. And because of how big of a positive reaction it got, the producers finally went, okay, let's actually make this movie now.
All right. I mean, I didn't know much of the specifics of it. I like Deadpool, and as long as Deadpool isn't getting overdone, you can, because he's a character you have to really rein in the creative light thing on. But the most important part is who's playing him, because that's the only person I feel who can play him on this earth with any real satisfaction, because he just fits that role.
Yeah,
I don't know how else to put it. I can't honestly. I can't.
He
think
fits
of
that role perfectly.
I can't think of anybody else. I really can't.
He is Wade.
Right. So that's taken care of, which means the movie is bound to do well just for that fact. But I was apparently seeing something like the casting for a certain, I forget what actress was supposedly casted in the movie now.
Well, the Firefly cast members.
Yeah, and it's just like, okay, so I'm like, oh, so I guess it's actually happening. I wasn't sure if that was a hoax or if it's actually happening, because I would love a Deadpool movie, to be honest.
Oh yeah, no. Originally the leaked footage was essentially a hoax because the producers didn't plan on making the film after that test footage was done. But because of that leak, now the hoax became legit.
And you know what? That's such a Deadpool plot.
Yeah.
Like, just that alone, if that turns out to be any type, and I'm not saying it's not accurate, but if that turns out to be, like, legitimately somebody on the completely third party doing this and forcing the hand, it just adds to the mystique of a Deadpool movie.
Yep.
Because that's the way it would happen.
Yeah.
So that's
pretty much.
But that's cool. I mean, it's been how many years now? People saying, "Where's this? We want this."
Since Wolverine Origins came out.
Since that train wreck, yes.
With the worst CG claws ever.
Right. Now, don't get me wrong. They had some good. They had obviously, Reynolds.
Yeah.
And
he was great.
And the guy who did Gambit did a good job too.
Yeah.
He did good, and it had the cast behind it. It was just, I don't know who said, yeah, that makes sense. I don't know who said that. And luckily, that other Wolverine movie came out, and not that it kind of retconned it out of existence, but it really repaired the damage. Just by being a better movie. Because I saw it in theaters. I'm not going to say I didn't enjoy my time in terms of, being entertained. I just saw that and went, that's not that character. That's not Deadpool. I don't care what anybody says, that's not Deadpool. And, I don't know. But it's good to see that you can confirm for me that it seems to actually not be a hoax and it's actually going to be made now.
It is legit happening.
Which is good. That's something else to look forward to. Because to be honest, DC side of things, aside from Batfleck, which I want to see a legitimate trailer for, not too much I'm really interested in even hearing about. Because it's Batfleck, and that's... I think he could do it.
He could do it. I think so. I think he could do it, and do it well.
He did well as his role as Daredevil. Which is basically Batman who's blind.
Yeah, he's blind Batman.
With less cool gadgets.
He has a blind wristwatch. And a cane.
Yeah, but he doesn't have, a jet.
Yet.
Or a, what was Morgan Freeman's character's name?
Lucius.
He doesn't have a Lucius yet.
Yet. But, he doesn't have a bat plane yet, and he doesn't have a bat boat yet. It'll be called the Dare Boat and the Devil Plane.
The Dare Boat and Devil Plane. And they fuse together to create a trash.
Daredevil train.
Yes. We're on to something here. We're on to glory.
Yes.
The only thing is he has to have his back broken, and then he has to hang from the ceiling to fix it.
Yeah, because that's how fixing broken backs work.
Yes.
It's been proven by science. And with that, we are out of time.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, everybody. This podcast took weird turns.
Yes. And so, until next time, thank you all for listening. If you haven't yet, in just a quick little news flash I just discovered, the Doom of Mimiri Imperial Armor book is going out of print. There's only 750 copies left. And so, expect a reboot in some way, shape, or form soon. So, until next time, this is Matt the Vet.
James the Wildcard.
Saying take care.
Peace.